الحمد لله الذي هدانا للإيمان وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد، يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله بعث بالدين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، الله سبحانه وتعالى tells us in the Quran: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، وإذا جاءهم أمر من الأمن أو الخوف أذاعوا به ولو ردوه إلى الرسول وإلى أولي الأمر منهم لعلمه الذين يستنبطونه منهم ولولا فضل الله عليكم ورحمته لاتبعتم الشيطان إلا قليلا. The meaning of this ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, when people get something about security or fear, أذاعوا به, they spread it around. But what they should do is take it back to our Rasul and the leaders, أولي الأمر, the leaders. لعلمه الذين يستنبطونه منهم. Why? Because not everybody understands all aspects of every issue. So there are people who's qualified to analyze and tell us what's happening and analyze it and explain it to us. وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ لَاتَّبَعْتُمُ الشَّيْطَانَ. And if it wasn't for the blessing of Allah and His mercy, we would follow a shaitan, إِلَّا قَلِيلًا, except a few. Subhanallah, this ayah reflects our situation in what's happening in Gaza. We listen to the news and we watch, and each one of us wants to do the job of analysis and the decision of what's happening and what should we do. We never go back to Al-Quran to see what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us, and we never go back to Ulil Amr, to our governments, to find out. It is us, we know everything, subhanallah. And it is, as I read on the chat groups, everybody has an opinion, subhanallah. There is 1,000 opinions. There isn't a lack of any opinion of what's happening and the analysis of what happened. The one thing I didn't see is somebody saying, let's go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's see what the Quran tells us about this situation. No, we don't, because this Quran is for us to read and get 10 hasanahs for every letter, but we don't try to understand it. They've taught us this Quran and we have nothing to do with it. As a Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. Rasul says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the day of judgment, my people have deserted the Quran. Yes, we read it, but we don't understand its meaning. We don't even take time to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. We have so much trying to read on the chat groups and read analysis of everybody, but we have no time to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about this situation and other situations. And if we read the Quran carefully, we will find the situation described accurately and exactly in the Quran and the solution in the Quran. But we choose to be analytical and we choose other things and we leave the Quran as if it's not our book, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا فَرَّطْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. We have not left anything out. At this time we go back to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try to understand. But what do? We are expert in blaming others. All kinds of blames. If you read the chat groups, they're blaming everybody and everybody else. But nobody's blaming himself. If we analyze the last 12 years, and most of us have lived the last 12 years, we've seen what's happening in Bosnia. Actually, I read in the Toronto Star at the time, the Serbs were going in the streets, where is the Muslims, so we can kill the men and rape the women. And we got upset and angry, and we blamed. We had a lot of blame in us. SubhanAllah. But once the ceasefire happened, as if nothing happened. It's finished. We don't analyze, we don't do, and we went back to our life. And after Bosnia came Kosovo, same thing. Killing the Muslims and nothing happens. And after Bosnia came the Palestine in 2000. And subhanallah, nothing happens again. We get angry, we go for demonstrations, and we have once stop killing the Muslims, as if nothing happens. And we go on about our life. And then Iraq, and we got angry about Iraq and they destroyed Iraq, and we got angry and we blamed the government, we blamed everybody else. We've become so good at blaming, subhanallah, experts in blaming. And after Iraq came Lebanon, and after Lebanon is Gaza, and we're still blaming. We have not stopped at one point of time to analyze and see what should we do next. If you look at Israel, they're saying we studied what happened in Lebanon and we went wrong, and this is where we're going to perfect the killing of Muslims now in Gaza. They're going to perfect it. They perfected the oohs and ahs and the pinpoint strikes. And what have we perfected in the last 2 years? The blame. If you read, we know how to blame. We have know how to blame very well. And rather than blaming ourselves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not change what with his people till they change with themselves. And you notice it says أنفسهم, themselves. It didn't say their governments. It didn't say everybody else. It says themselves. Our job is to change ourselves and say, well, now that I'm angry, what have I done? But what have we turned out to? Into a nation of 1.5 billion people, each one saying, what could I do? Subhanallah. 1.5 billion Muslims around the world, each one is saying, what could I do? And rather than go back to the Quran and study and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we go back to Allah. But what could I do? This is what we all do. We sit and watch the news, and what could I do? Subhanallah, what could I do? And year after year, and disaster after disaster, what could I do? And let's blame. And alhamdulillah, after we watch the nightly news, we blame our governments, and we go sleep well, and we eat well, and it's not our fault. There's nothing we can do. Alhamdulillah, it's these bad, corrupt people. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us, يُوَلَّ عَلَيْكُمْ وَاحِدٌ مِّنْكُمْ. Your governor is one of you. And I know we all hate to think that they represent us, but actually they are. And actually Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, خِيَارَكُمْ, the better of you. So these governments that we're blaming are the better of us. So what does that make all of us? All of us is much worse than these people we're blaming. Why? We're all so busy. We're busy with our jobs, we're busy with everything else, but we don't go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we said, we'll find everything described in the Quran. But we decide to leave the Quran and go to what we call al-asbab. Subhanallah, al-asbab is holding on to logic and reason. And Iman does not go with logic and reason. Actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us it's everything Iman and religion. Religion is everything against this logic and reason. And if we go in Surah Al-Baqarah where it describes Taghut, Bani Israel, and the Quran does not describe Bani Israel to put them down. It tells us to learn that we don't do their mistakes. They told the Prophet, send us a king, we want to fight for the sake of Allah. Does it sound familiar, we want to fight for the sake of Allah? So what does he tell them? Maybe if it's written on you to fight, you won't. They say, why? Why shouldn't we fight? And we were taking our homes away from our homes and our children. And they always said for the sake of Allah. And then it tells us, فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالُ تَوَلَّوْا إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. When the fighting was written on them, they left. Most of them left. Subhanallah. So this is describing how people are. It's easy to talk. It's easy to say we want. But reality, when it was written on them, تَوَلَّوْا إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. They tell us there was 30,000 of them. And when the fighting was written on them, only 3,000 went ahead. 10% of the 30,000, the rest was just nice talk. Just like we see this nice talk among ourselves, the Quran is describing the whole situation. If we look with our eyes, the whole situation is there. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assigned them a king to lead them. But what do they say? أَنَّ لَهُ الْمُلْكَ عَلَيْنَا. How could he be our king? He's not rich, he's not the best of us. Just like ourselves, we're waiting for Salah ad-Din to come and lead us, but if he comes, we'll kill him ourselves. Because he might hold his hand different in the prayer, or he might look different, or he might not have a long beard, or all this nonsense that we put among ourselves. So here they said, no, he cannot be our king. He's not rich, he's not one of us, he's not the best of us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ اسْتَفَاهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. Allah has chosen him. And this is a prophet telling him, and yet telling them that he is the king, and they refuse. And it's our nature, it's a human nature. If we have the best person leading us, would we accept this?
Let us sit there in the next room. This is not right, to preach like that, and you have to everything has to stop because of your talking.
So
It's at home.
if everything has, we just accept it. And this is, here in Islam, we have to realize what we have to do, and we go back to the book. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He leads the 3,000, Tawud leads the 3,000 people. And then He tells them, you will be met with a river. They're walking in a desert, an army that's walking in the desert and very thirsty. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them? You don't drink. You only take a little handful and don't drink. Subhanallah. Where is logic here? An army that's traveling in a desert that's ready to fight, don't drink. You're not allowed to drink. And if you drink, you're out, you go back. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying you have to obey. Teaching us the obedience. Nothing else. You have to obey. No logic. Logic says they should rest, they drink as much as they can, and then they go forward. That's logic. That's what we want to